I'll call this meeting of the Bloomington Commission on Sustainability to order at 6:07 p.m. And we'll go through the roll call. Okay, Tara Dunderdale.
Here.
Here. Justin Vassell, I'm here. Matt Austin.
Present.
Present. Zero Rose. Not in the room and not online. Okay, Dave Rollo.
I'm here.
Here on Zoom. Quentin Gilly.
Here.
Here. Alex York.
Here.
Here. Jamie Scholl.
Here.
Here. Evan Nix.
I'm here.
Here online. Okay. Annalise Jenke.
Here.
Here. Diana Ogrodowski.
Here.
Here. And Shanghai Shu.
Here.
Here online. Okay, great. So we've got 12 occupied spots on the commission right now. So that puts our quorum at 7, and then we've got to have 50% of our members here in person. So that threshold is 6. So we're good on both of those counts. I do want to make a note, as we learned at the last meeting, that the Indiana State Code stipulates that you can only miss you can only attend 2 consecutive meetings virtually, and not 3 or more consecutive meetings. So that would apply, I think, to 2 people today. If Zero joins up with us, that would apply to him, and then also as well for Evan. And so the way that we've been doing that is that that does not count for quorum or in any votes that we take. But even with that, we're good to go on the quorum side of things. Okay, great. So we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. I'm debating whether I want to suggest that we move some of the important time-sensitive voting things up. I'm gonna move that. So I'm gonna move that we at least move up the agenda item 7B, which is the BCOS-sponsored O'Neill School capstone project, to maybe we'll say after the public comment, before the report from commissioners. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Great. And then when we have people attending virtually, we have to do everything as a roll call vote. So we will go through with that vote. Okay, so this is on the motion to move agenda item 7B after agenda item 5 and before agenda item 6. Tara?
Yes.
Yes. Justin? Yes. Matt?
Yes.
Yes. And Zero still absent, I believe. Councilmember Rollo?
Yes.
Yes. Quentin?
Yes.
Yes. Alex?
Yes.
Yes. Jamie?
Yes.
Yes. Evan?
Yes.
Yes.
Just.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I just said that. Yeah. Annalise?
Yes.
Yes. Diana?
Yes.
Yes. And Shanghai?
Yes.
Okay, yes. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So we've got 10 yeses. Okay, great. So the amendment is adopted. Are there any other suggested changes to the agenda as amended? Okay, hearing none, then we'll vote on the adoption of the agenda as amended. Tara?
Yes.
Yes. Justin? Yes. Matt?
Yes.
Yes. Councilmember Rollo?
Yes.
Yes. Quentin?
Yes.
Yes. Alex?
Yes.
Yes. Jamie?
Yes.
Yes. Annalise?
Yes.
Yes. Diana?
Yes.
Yes. Shanghai?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. The agenda is adopted. So we're at agenda item number 4, the approval of the minutes. There are 2 sets of minutes that were circulated, one for April 8th, 2025, which is a bit of a while ago, so hopefully people had a chance to take a look at that, and September 9th, 2025. So I'm going to move that we approve both of these all in one fell swoop to reduce the amount of roll call votes that we have to take. Are there any objections to doing that as a bundle? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to adopt both of those minutes, or approve both of those minutes, I should say?
Yes.
Okay, there's a motion and a second.
Second.
Perfect. Okay. Roll call vote then. Tara, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes. Justin? Yes. Matt?
Yes.
Yes. Councilmember Rallo?
Yes.
Yes. Quentin?
Yes.
Yes. Alex?
Abstain. I wasn't on the commission in April, so I have no input on that aspect.
Okay.
And I think it'll pass fine without me.
Fair enough. Abstain? Jamie?
Yes.
Yes. Annalise?
Yes.
Yes. Diana?
Yes.
Yes. And Shengwai?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that's 9-4, 0 against, 1 abstain. So those minutes are approved. All right, so that brings us to the public comment portion. So we set aside about 10 minutes for public comment, up to 3 minutes per person. Is there anyone from the public here in the room or either online that would like to address the commission? Okay, not seeing any activity. All right, so then that brings us to agenda item 7B as we amended the agenda. So let's see, would it help if I share the packet? Would that be easier? So while I'm getting this pulled up, maybe Alex, if you want to give an introduction for what this is and what we're asking.
Yeah. So I listened to a podcast in which they were interviewing somebody from Ann Arbor who in Ann Arbor had started a sustainable energy utility, which functions as a municipal electric utility that operates in parallel with the utility on the grid. Ann Arbor evaluated whether that would be a good idea, decided it would, enabled it through a referendum vote, and they have since then been implementing it. I've talked about this with some people. It was suggested to me that an O'Neill capstone course would be a good way to kind of explore the feasibility of the Bloomington community undertaking a similar action. So I reached out to professors I knew from O'Neill because I have 2 masters from there, and a capstone course has been formed, and there's a memo kind of describing all of this. There's a description of the classwork attached as well. And yeah, we are looking for the commission's blessing to undergo this work where a capstone course is just looking at, from a wide variety of angles, how practical it is for Bloomington to do this. We're also very open to feedback on angles of research. We have a bunch of research questions that we came up with, but if there'd be things that people think would be useful for the city to know that were not included, that would be great to know before we start the research.
Okay, excellent. So, yeah, this is something that doesn't require any, upfront costs on behalf of BCOS or any sort of like material support, right? So we're
Yeah, there's no cost. It is free consulting, so that's a nice advantage of having this type of program in our community. It will require somebody to kind of be a point of contact, which I have volunteered to do, given I'm spearheading the creation of this, and I have the SPIA connection, those relationships and things. So yeah, there will be questions at times that I'm sure will have to be, I know the students in their research I'm sure will have questions that I may not have all the answers to, and I will have to, find the correct people to get those answers, but I'm signing up to take on that burden.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, I want to open it up to the commission to ask questions that they might have, but yeah, sorry.
I guess of also note, we have Professor John Rupp here, who is the professor who will be leading the capstone. So if there are questions about, like how a capstone works, he is going to be a better person to answer that than I am.
Excellent.
What's the level of city participation that you're expecting?
In the capstone project, minimal. There will be some questions I imagine there will be at least one question I will need to ask you at some point in time, but honestly, it's gonna be more looking at kind of utility. I have some.
I can maybe handle that.
Okay.
So the capstones are mandatory for all of our master students, and they're all applied, practical kind of thing. So a real client, in this case the city, comes in, and the obligation on the client's part is to agree with the framed question, avail themselves to an initial presentation. I don't know if that's going to be you, Alex, or some others saying, here's how we function. This is the context within which this research question would operate, and then avail themselves at some point down the project. It's a semester-long project, so at maybe a couple months in, could they meet with some students and ask some questions of them? Hey, we've come to this place. Is this a priority? Do you think these are avenues we should pursue? We've got these kinds of things. A little bit of a sort of a guardrails kind of a thing, and then avail themselves to a final presentation and receive a report. So it's pretty minimal actually on the part of the client. They just need to be clear about what they want. It's supposed to be a practical. It is a practical. It emulates reality, and of course, sometimes bad things happen in reality. If a consulting firm starts down one trail and a client says, "Oh, we're changing course." So one of the things I'd like to not happen is like 3 months into it, the city to go, "Actually, we don't want you to do this. We want you to do that." That kind of really throws a bugger on them. So that would be sort of a constraint to not do that to the students, because they're just learning. There is no budget. There's no extension of work orders or anything like that. So it's an emulation of a real project with minimal kinds of sort of consequences.
So Alex would be attending those presentations and things, because I let Alex know that we don't have the capacity to be involved with this capstone project.
Yeah, it's pretty minimal, really. I think it's just a sort of letting the students know that the avenues that they're going down, and they'll go down some blind alleys. And I'm a guardrail. I sort of manage them, but they self-organize. That's part of the drill. And I'll keep them from really sort of running off the edge, but it's not on the client's watch to do that kind of work.
Yeah, and I think the intention is that we as a commission would be sort of the client there playing that role. So like, through our points of contact here, through Alex or Annalise or myself as backups if Alex isn't available. Yeah.
In preparation for this meeting, I have to lift up Alex and my colleague Nikos Zeragiannis, and I worked quite diligently on this. I assume this is part of the 5-page full description is in there. So we would request of you, this is probably the most work you got to do. Somebody's got to look through that and go, yeah, we like this, or why don't you rank these questions like this, or have you thought about this and take this out, just some kind of a tweaking, and then get those comments to Alex, and then we'll fold those in. And the students are actually getting ready to register for classes. This was a last minute thing that they kind of knocked on my door last week and said, "Can you do this?" And I said, "Well, you're 6 months late, but we'll do it." And, so if folks can give feedback to you, then we'll fold that into that description. And that's kind of the scope of work, kind of, but they'll get refined later.
I
Yeah,
have two questions. One is the length of the presentation, the time length typically done. The other is, when is the deadline for when you need get feedback for review if there's any changes?
We need to vote on it tonight because registration, this class was mostly approved this past Friday, and these types of materials were due 2 weeks ago.
Gotcha.
So sort of, and I think you'll be moderately pleased with it. I don't think it's going to be a train wreck. As to the presentation duration, I like to push the students at 25 at most. 25. If you're longer than 25 minutes, you're long, and then 25 minutes for interaction with the client. So less than an hour.
Yeah, I can speak from my capstone experience that I'm sure we could have students come to commission meetings as well. I know we did presentations to people in India like at midnight, so.
That would be
some
really
level of
nice if you could
updates.
structure it so it would be at a commission meeting. It could obviously be virtual, or others within the city governance structure that could be of interest to them. And then, of course, there's obviously, at that time, literally a presentation of a hard copy.
Could be a mini presentation or something. Those are details that can be worked out later.
Yeah.
Could you scroll down to research questions, because that's kind of the first bullets you find.
These ones here?
Yeah, that's kind of the like meat of, are these the correct questions to be asking?
So my question would be, and I think it's kind of, it doesn't seem like it's a lot of data heavy that you're gonna need, right? Or am I wrong about that? Because sometimes that can be like the hardest part on the client side, you know, as a consultant says, well, can we hire a consultant? Well, even if it's free, it can be a lot of work. But it sounds like, it didn't look like these are like real data intensive types of questions, maybe, or maybe I'm wrong.
I would say some of them are, some of them aren't. One thing to explore would be something like, what would be a good place for a sustainable energy utility to start? You know, so that's thinking, the answer is probably like supporting like installing utility-owned solar and storage at people's houses and connecting them kind of microgrid style. But to do that, you're gonna have to do real financial analysis of that world, and you know, that's not going to be light on the data.
No, that makes sense. And the other question I'm only, this isn't necessarily a question, maybe we've sort of even looked at it, but just a sort of comment would be, I know that utilities operate in some ways significantly differently from state to state, some ways the same. Just sort of, I know like what that gap is what the expectations might be approaching it in Ann Arbor versus, you know, Michigan versus Indiana, where sort of things are, you know, we have this regulated sort of mandatory monopoly system here. That would just be, it'd be interesting to sort of see a little bit of that early on, but yeah.
Yeah, that is, there are a lot of similarities between the two states, but there could be small nuances in the law that in Michigan they found that they could do this, and Indiana this could be already illegal.
That's what we want to find out.
That's what we want to find out, yes.
Well,
Question for the students.
Right.
Yeah.
I have two questions, mostly procedural. I read this, but I forget. Do we need to specify that BCOS is the client here, or that the city is the client?
Because it's specified.
They're specified as a client, okay. In terms of the research questions, like how, do we want to spend time like wordsmithing research questions, or are you looking more at like like how in stone are these once we vote on it? I guess is the question. Like, could the students adjust it? This is just like guiding materials for the students.
This is the guiding materials.
Okay, so
It's really your menu. You're setting the menu and you're setting your priorities on the menu.
Okay.
I would think of this as a menu from
Right.
which to choose and prioritize, amplify, and maybe modify if you so choose some of the verbiage there, and say,
Okay.
you know, you're really down a trail here. This is a sticking point because. I mean, Alex is somewhat shooting in the dark here. I mean, he sees a model out there. He thinks, how could it potentially work in our community, and threw some things out there. I'm even further in the dark on it. I know a bit about utility law, but you know, the notion is to do the research to find out what kinds of facets are really important.
So really, it's if we're going to change research questions to just if something is missing that we think we want to suggest
That's
Yeah.
a
to
good
the
way
students
do
to
that, yeah.
choose
or
from.
if there are
Okay.
things in there that people, you know, feel like this isn't an avenue, because this is broad.
Yeah.
So if there are avenues that aren't worth exploring, then you know, removing research questions would get us
I
more
can,
time
like,
devoted to the
I can like
important
get
things.
down the rabbit hole on the research questions, so I'm just looking for some guardrails for myself on what
Fair
I should
enough.
do.
Well, and it,
I can go. Dave's got some.
Councilmember Rowe, go ahead.
May I? Well, one question that I have that really isn't answered by us as a city, as we've been implementing mostly solar energy in the community, is, you know, they're probably better framed as rebuildables in the sense that they require complex global supply chains, a lot of fossil fuel energy, rare earth minerals, and periodic replacement every 20 to 25 years. And so there hasn't been really an attempt to have a full cost accounting of what renewable energy really consists of. So that's one question I have. Another one is, what kind of infrastructure would be needed to make a dent in our consumption and in terms of really providing, augmenting in a meaningful way our sourcing of energy. So, so that's what I would have coming out of the gate in terms of, besides the questions that are there, they're very good. It's a bit different take, but as we expand renewables, we should be aware that really what they are rebuildables. They do need energy to make, and that's not really accounted for in your evaluation. So thanks for that.
I just wanted to provide a little bit of context to some of the background on this and maybe some of the project management side. Alex is heading this up, and we talked to one of my lovely colleagues who does community projects with courses. That's her entire job, or a big part of it. And so I think in maybe our next step after we kind of start on this will be to have a more official meeting and really figure out a clear scope of work. So, and that's already been somewhat stated, but yeah, we don't have to get everything 100% sorted out right now. And I'm glad to hear that there's some flexibility with the students, and we can create that clearer scope of work as long as we have everything somewhat included in this.
If I may, part of the task is for them to create a scope of work.
Amazing.
So, I mean, that's like one of the very initial things
Right.
they do. So, I mean, obviously in concert with the client.
Yeah.
But I don't think we want to impose one on top of the
Yes.
students. It is the way it is, move ahead. And you could do that, that would be one way of doing it, but I think it'd be more meaningful if you
Definitely.
included it.
Thank you for that.
Would we, this is a procedural question also, would we, if when meeting with the students, are we running into quorum stuff if we are, like, depending on how many of us are present, and do we need to think about that, like, either that they only come to business meetings or working sessions?
Yeah, it makes sense to have that
or if
working
there's,
session.
yeah.
Yeah, I think they would, when they come to deliver their report, that would be at a publicly noticed meeting. It might be a special meeting of some sort or something like that. For kind of day-to-day stuff or week-by-week stuff, if they have clarifying questions or they're trying to get at kind of what we're interested in, the way I sort of envision this is that here what we're going to vote on is to approve to put our name on this and say we'll be the client, and then to sort of delegate some of that authority to these POCs, the couple commissioners here, primarily Alex, who can then kind of be the representative of the commission and work with them on a week-by-week basis when they need things. And if there's some sort of major change to the complete, they start digging into this, realize they have to go in a completely different direction, then maybe it comes back to us to revisit as a commission. But otherwise, we kind of just hang tight and wait for the report to be ready.
Personally, having worked in renewable energy, lived in Austin, Texas, where they have their own utility, I absolutely love this. I've wanted to, move off Duke and, push the city to have their own utility for a long time. And I especially like the questions about the microgrids, which are further down. There's a lot of folks, there's a number of folks in neighborhoods that have solar renewable energy already. And so looking at potential neighborhoods that could have a microgrid. I mean, you're talking about sustainability, you're talking about, climate change and all the nasty storms we have come through. That's really powerful stuff. So I absolutely love this idea. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, just to echo that, I think, well, not that I'm an expert on that, but it is an amazing learning opportunity, I think, for a student, first of all. I also think that this topic is representative of the things we need to be discussing. It should be prioritized. So, and the comment on the scope of work, that's really helpful too, and I appreciate that. Yeah, and also too, as the IU representative on this commission, if there's any way I can help liaison, anything, I'd be happy to help. in that capacity, you know, depending on how things work out, but yeah.
Is this project, is this vote subject to the special bypassing of a first and second reading, or is this
No,
just
because
a
it's
one reading?
resolution,
Yeah,
just
okay.
a vote to approve, so.
I'd also like to make one extra point about the idea of actually implementing this, you know, post-feasibility study and conversations and everything like that. But there is a reality that SB1 passed this year, and municipal governments are facing significant financial shortfalls. So one of the research questions is certainly, you know, to look at initial funding sources, because if our expectation is that Bloomington, the city of Bloomington, provides the funding to start this, I think that there is no way that it happens. So just, you know, recognizing that reality and making sure that we are all aware that the students should be tasked with looking into that as well.
Yeah.
May I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
I want to reflect back on the one. If more than 3 of you are gathered, is there some threshold value where that's then
Is it more than half?
it's a
Yeah, if
quorum.
there's a chance that a quorum could be met, so if there's a chance that half plus one could be
Yeah.
present,
Filled
then,
seats,
Yeah.
and we're
the
discussing.
reason-
but,
The reason I
yeah.
bring that up is we had the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission as a client twice,
Mhm.
3 times I think, before. And part of the learning process for the students was, okay, this is actually because when you present, that has to
Yeah.
be a public meeting.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a
Yeah.
learning thing for them. As well as the second thing I want to ask about was proprietary or confidential information. The idea of data came up before. So early on, if they are made aware that there are things that are not to be disclosed, and all that's possible. They can do NDAs. I mean, we did one with Cummins a few years ago.
We
and it
can't.
was-
We
I'm just
can't
saying- I'm just
NDA
saying on
anyone,
our
we
end.
have to tell, we
I
can't
understand.
even,
I'm
we
just-
can't even reply all to an email, we're not.
So if there are sensitivity issues, maybe it's not, you know, that rigid,
Yeah.
but that, again, remembering that this is a learning experience for the students. The fundamental thing here is for them to understand these dynamics that are in play in the real world.
Yeah, so I think this is like a win all around, right? You know, we you know, the students get this great opportunity to do this research, do their capstone project. We get, you know, this nice report, polished report at the end, this presentation. Sorry? Okay.
Somebody has to register for it, right?
And then,
I don't think that'll be a problem.
Okay.
you know, and then we get to decide what to do with that information, right? Because we're gonna learn a lot from that report, and maybe it looks great, and we're like, cool, we're ready to make some recommendations based off this report, or maybe we need to follow some things up, you know. But either way, it'll set us off on a good path.
It's really in line with also a lot of the priorities that we set
Yeah.
out at the beginning of the year
That's right.
around community and coalition building and education. So it's stuff we've all said that we want to do as a commission.
All right, I'd like to move us onto the vote, but real quick before I do, just want to ask if anyone has any serious reservations about anything that they've read here that they want to bring up, any concerns or anything. Okay, great. Then we'll move on to a roll call vote to approve. And again, what we're doing here is just approving being able to put the BCOS name on this as a client, right? And then to get that report at the end, and to designate Alex and myself and Annalise as backup, primary and backup, you know, POCs to liaise with the students when needed. Any questions about what we're voting on? Okay, great. And we'll go through the roll. Tara.
Do you need to get a second?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you move to?
I make a motion to take this vote.
Second.
Perfect. We have a motion, a second, and thank you very much. Okay, perfect. Tara.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Justin. Yes. Matt.
Yes.
Yes. Councilmember Rallo.
Yes.
Yes. Quentin.
Yes.
Yes. Alex.
Yes.
Yes. Jamie.
Yes.
Yes. Annalise.
Yes.
Yes. Diana.
Yes.
Yes. And Shanghai.
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. The ayes have it. So that is approved, and we're very much looking forward to seeing that get off the ground and for the final report. So, and thanks, Alex, for taking the initiative on that. That was a lot of work in a short amount of time. So that's
Thank
awesome.
you, John.
Yeah, and thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
I
it.
might be a little mercenary. one of the things that I love about these kinds of things is to help students get placed. If there's potentially an internship or something with the city down the trail at the end of it, you get a chance to look at the students, they get a chance to look at you.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Exactly, yeah, everybody wins.
Looking for a climate resilience person.
We'll be needing funding for that.
No, I just.
Next year's budget cycle.
There's a lot of city commissions that need the seats
Place to
filled.
consider,
too,
right?
yeah.
One thing I was gonna say too is there's always good money there for all the great ideas. You just gotta look hard. It's only the good ideas.
All right, well, we'll move on then. So that brings us back to our normally scheduled agenda items. That brings us to reports from commissioners, and we'll start off with the chair report. And I'll probably go through this fairly quickly. We currently have 2 vacancies on the org chart. We're bidding farewell to John Eldon, who's been with us since December of 2022. So he's been here, I think, since, I know, right? He's been here, I think, since before I got here.
Soil scientist.
Yeah. And so he will be very much missed, and I just want to say thank you to him for his contributions to the commission over the last several years. And if you know anyone who's interested in serving on the commission, I encourage them to submit an application.
We have one application already, actually.
Oh, perfect. All right, there's one in the hopper, so good in here. Okay, I'm not going to really dwell on this too much, but just take a look at this at some point when you get the chance, and if I didn't add something that you sent to me, it probably just got lost in my infinite inbox, and just send it to me again. But I think we're mostly up to date at the moment. Okay, working group grant awards. So we're starting to sweat a little bit, but I think things are moving in the right direction. I've moved a couple things from the idea column sort of up to the proposed column, because I hear they're starting to get closer to a finish line here. So I think we've got sort of 2 that are in the hopper that commissioners are working with you guys on to try to get the T's dotted and the I's crossed and all that. And I just put amounts that I could remember off the top of my head on here.
2,100.
21, okay. Perfect. So those numbers are not quite totally accurate, but sort of in the ballpark. And I think, Matt, yours is a little over.
$69.99.
Okay, yeah, excellent. So I think those are, if all goes well, we're hoping to bring those forward at the next meeting. Any questions about that? Okay, perfect. Upcoming meetings. Speaking of which, so we've got a pretty busy meeting today, and then our next meeting is going to be November 18th, and it's important to remember that because it's not our usual meeting time. And thank you to Jolie for getting that scheduled for us. That was I think it was a holiday that our meeting would have landed on, and so this was rescheduled for a time that worked with most people. I will also point out, just in case anything comes up that we need to get passed soon before the end of the year or something like that, it did look like there was a decent amount of availability from people on November 4th or November 10th. If we need to call a special meeting for those times, we could do it. It's just an option. Work sessions, we've got one coming up on November 4th. I've got that scheduled in the books. I saw on my calendar that says election day. I'm not aware of any election that's happening here. So I don't think that'll be an issue. But that will be, I'll send out a notice for that. That'll be at the public library again. And I'm guessing we'll probably talk about the sustainability assessment report, maybe. But
We pushed it from this meeting.
yeah.
Because it was Ben, Jeff, and so forth.
But that's still sort of, there's room for other things.
Served in December if we've got 2 grants to vote on.
Sure, yeah, so it's a fair point. Yeah, okay, so good. And then that just brings us to the resources page here that I always show. So if you're not sure where to find something, just go through this packet, and these links are all clickable and stuff. And if something seems like it's missing there, let me know, and I'll add it. I also want to make a quick shout out because we have a birthday. It's this commission's birthday. We are turning 20 years old, so I think, let's see, here we go. I have the minutes from the first BCOS meeting that ever happened. It was October 25th, 2005, in this room. There are some notable alums on the attendance list. So one of them is, of course, Councilmember Rollo, who sort of got this commission going in the first place, got the ordinance passed that created it. And then I think for the first couple meetings sort of served as the interim, presiding officer of the commission before a formal chair was chosen. And that first formal chair that was chosen was one John Hamilton, who ultimately went on to become the mayor. So yeah, some interesting history there. Around the time that I first joined this commission, I was trying to get some background on kind of what we've done, and so I went looking for the minutes, but I can only find minutes going back to like 2016 or something on the city website, and so I did some archaeology on the Internet Archive, and I was able to find most of the minutes and agendas from all the way back to the beginning. So I think it's an interesting time to kind of look back a little bit on what the commission has done, because I think most of us probably couldn't say, what was this commission working on 10 years ago today, right? And there's probably some good, tidbits in there that would be helpful for us to kind of keep in mind as we do our work. Over the next couple meetings, I'll probably bring a few, interesting pieces out of the archives to share with folks. And these minutes are all in the shared Google Drive. So if you ever want to go and just peruse at your leisure, definitely feel free to do that. But yeah, this first meeting was mostly getting everyone together in the same room and trying to figure out, okay, what kind of working groups should we have? What kind of things should we tackle first? One of the big things was just process, internal process. How should we organize ourselves? Another one was indicators. One of the big thrusts early on was that this commission is going to pick out a set of indicators, metrics that we can track, and track those over time, and then make recommendations based off of those. A lot of what we've done in the earlier sustainability assessment reports was based off of those indicators. So it's mostly just getting organized and kind of getting things up and running. But yeah, happy birthday to us. I'm sorry I didn't bring cake.
Less exciting than that, but I what is the best way if we have templates for the sort of like SOP stuff to share them? I built a template for the minutes.
Okay.
Just because I found it's easier than trying to put my notes in a format later that I can share for whoever besides me is responsible for minutes.
Yeah. I think for basic template stuff, you can just send it to me, and I'll add it to the Google Drive, and I'll also send it to you guys, so you can have it in the onboard if you want. For things that are sort of like like really official policies that we're all expected to abide by, we probably have to vote on that. But if it's sort of best practices, I think that's fair game to just kind of add it into there, and then
choose to not use it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And then I can always make an announcement each meeting when we have new stuff like that. Okay. Let people know where to find it and what it is. Question.
I was just to say, unofficially for the 21st birthday, I might be celebrating down the street here at the Trojan Horse or something.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
Yep.
Perfect. Any other questions about the chair's report before we move on? Excellent. Alrighty. That brings us then to Waste Management Working Group report. Matt, what do you have for us?
Yeah, so finishing up the grant, we'll hopefully have it approved. Send it in, need a few edits, so hopefully we'll have it for the working session for everybody to look over on the 4th. And then there's the Indiana Composting Council. There's now that nonprofit, which is, there's 16 states that have them. There's the overarching U.S. Composting Council. So I think it'd be great if the city or other entities, they're looking for members because they need to fundraise. That's awesome. And then the Indiana Department of Environmental Management is looking at a new blueprint to replace their long outdated waste management plan. So I'll send the article out, but that's going to affect every waste management district in the entire state. So that could have some really good, there could be mandating of food waste on a commercial scale, things like that. And speaking of food waste, the CAC has a meeting on, the Citizens Advisory Committee has a meeting on Thursday, and I've invited Richland Farms to come down. Richland Farms in April got a permit for vegetative composting. There's industrial composting, which take like 2 years. Vegetative took them only 9 months, and they are looking for food waste. And so they're specifically looking for restaurant food waste. They can do more, but they've got 12-gallon and 21-gallon bins. And so please attend the meeting if you'd like. It's 5:30. Otherwise, it'll be on CATS.
What day is that?
That's Thursday.
This Thursday?
This is the
This
Waste
Thursday.
Reduction District?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's this Thursday. And so Richland Farms is going to present for about 20 minutes. They're 90 miles away, but they are more than willing to drive down here because they were hoping that Lafayette was going to be a good market. Turns out that Lafayette offers food waste services as a city, and so people were kind of confused when a contractor came in, private company. And so with restaurants that already participated with Earth Keepers, it seems like a no-brainer. So he would drop off containers and would do a 1 day a week pickup. And so I've already seen the operation was up there with the Indiana Composting Council. And yeah, he's really looking for a lot of food waste. So that could be, there's no one single solution to food waste. There are many different solutions that combine together, and I really see this as one, and he's looking for it. So I don't have a list of what restaurants were participating previously with Earth Keepers. We've tried to contact Earth Keepers to find that out. If ESD has any of those lists,
We have that list.
please, yes, yes.
And, how far are they willing to go? They were willing to go up to Lafayette. Would they go to?
They're
like,
90 miles away.
Columbus?
So they're in Veedersburg, or near Veedersburg. Actually, they're more like Newtown, Indiana. So so it's like I said, so it's southwest of Lafayette or northeast of Terre Haute. So it's, but yeah, I mean, I've already confirmed with him, talked to him and his wife, who are both owners. They actually live in Massachusetts. A family farm was gifted to them essentially, and so they really want to get this food waste, and they just don't have enough volume right now.
Did you say this, is this associated with the city waste group, is that what you said? Or-
No, I'm just having him do a presentation to the CAC for the Waste Reduction
It's the
District.
county Waste
Yeah,
Reduction
it's
District.
county. They're the
Okay.
ones that operate all the recycling centers.
Location and time on Thursday, 5:30 you said?
5:30 to 6:30, he's gonna start out the meeting, and it's at the other side of the building.
Oh, it's here.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the Monroe County side, but it'll also be, yeah, but it'll also be on Zoom or Teams. So I
Okay.
can send that out. I can email that out as well.
Okay. Because I think.
But yeah, that is definitely one of the solutions, besides the fact that he was already in talks with Caldwell's, which is out in Shelby County on a larger scale, and then I'm trying to get in contact with people at Cook. Somebody at the Waste Reduction District has a contact there, and Cook is looking to take care of their cafeteria food. So I'm hoping that, maybe that could be also fit in there. So we'll see. We will see.
We've got a commercial food waste dehydrator coming
Yep.
soon, and there's gonna be a lot of back of the house food, dehydrated food scrap, so this is.
Right,
this will
so
be really helpful. Thank
that's
you.
back of the house, and then this is front of the house.
Oh, they don't want front of the house? or-
No, they'll do front of the house. The only back of the house stuff they can do is cooked or raw veggies, I think. There's certain
Okay.
rules when it comes to the vegetative permit that he can accept and he can't accept. So he couldn't accept raw meat, but he could
That's fine.
accept
Yeah, because
cooked meat.
the location we're starting out at is a la carte, so there's a lot of kind of leftover food from.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, and he's looking
buffet
for as
style.
much as he can get, so, but I mean, they just started in April, so they don't have, he's got a big truck, but he's not Caldwell's, which could handle all of Monroe County's food waste.
Yeah, it might be more than what we need anyway, so.
Right, so, either
Thank
way,
you for sharing that.
I'm looking at every single avenue possible, with that. So, yep, that's enough.
Awesome, thank you. All right, okay, our next item is an update on the Cobb Bench project from Evan.
All right. So I feel like now's the time to make the announcement that I'm moving from Bloomington. So whatever the process is for that to depart from the commission, Justin and I can talk about that and move forward with that. But as far as the Cobb bench goes, I'm wondering if anyone would be interested in taking over the project manager role, since we have the funding and the location and all of the initiation work done. If anyone would be interested in that, we could talk. There's some other partners in Bloomington who could help, who have expertise with Cobb and are willing to volunteer to help build it. But someone would need to be the BCOS project manager. Is anyone interested in that? Don't need to commit now, but if you're interested, we can talk.
Can I ask if any of the funds have been expended yet?
None yet, no.
Okay. When are you moving? Is it imminent?
Very soon, like within the next month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is there a no-cost extension for it because it has to be completed, its current form needs to be completed by the end of this calendar year, correct? So,
Right,
yeah.
That is true. There is a way to extend. I'm not entirely sure what that whole process would be, but I could help with that.
Do you have a contract in place with someone already or anything like that, or no?
Yep, contract in place with Redbud Books, both the owner of the building and the manager of Redbud, which is the business that's occupying that space, have signed contracts. Committed to maintaining the bench, and have a network of people who are willing to show up and help build it.
So they have contracts with the construction manager? No.
No, there's not a contract with a separate construction manager.
Would the new project
Yeah.
manager need to take on the no-cost extension, or are you gonna do that before you depart the commission?
I think we'd
I
have to
can do
have
that before I
somebody
depart.
It would have to be.
Well, again, Justin,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, we'd need
Possible.
someone identified, I think, before we attempt
Would
to
we apply? Okay.
do that.
So Evan, you've had a lot of experience with Cobb Bench building and you were sort of the lead on this project. I'm concerned that there might be other commissioners that really won't be able to fill your shoes.
At least for most of the stage now, it is coordination of like scheduling with Redbud Books and kind of wrangling, which is unfortunately annoying job. That's like the main sticking point is getting response and contact. I've been traveling a lot, so I haven't been able to just go there. But if we set a time for the build, I may be willing to come back. I would just have to act as not through BCOS, but could help in the creation of the bench. If someone can handle the admin stuff in the eyes of the commission.
I'm trying to remember, is this like a permitted project? Like,
No, because it's on the private property.
but there's no like for engineering permit. Okay.
They have to like call, they gotta call 811
Just to dig.
to dig, but it's not.
But we have called 811 before, and we know that there's no lines underneath the spot we were planning on building. We have the maps. We would just need to call within 2 weeks before the actual digging happens, just because that's protocol.
Who was?
Go ahead.
I was going to ask, like, so who was going to actually do the building of it, or has that yet been decided? Like, is there a company?
I was going to help lead the building as well as Danny Weddle, and then he's got this company, Terran Robotics, and there are some other employees there who seemed interested in helping with it on the experienced with Cobb side. And then we have signatures of like 30 people, which I know that isn't really a confirmation that they'll show up, but volunteers. And the way that I've run Cobb projects in the past is you just kind of have a training at the beginning of the day, and making the Cobb is pretty straightforward once you know how you get the ratios right, and just kind of oversee it, and a lot of the labor can be done by volunteers.
Awesome, that's helpful. I appreciate the context. Sounds like it's sort of just like a group project type of deal. So
How many building sessions are there and spread out how far apart?
It would probably be over the span of like 3 different sessions. There would be digging and setting foundation, and then building the bench out of hob, the foundation of the roof, sorry, and then the posts of the roof would be the structure that we build the bench around. Then that needs to sit and cure for a week or a little bit longer, and then there would be a day of plastering.
If we did have a commissioner or two who decided they really wanted to take this on and to file for the extension, how far in advance would you need that paperwork and everything?
Things get really busy at the end of the year,
Yeah.
so it would be good to have it by December 1st at the latest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's doable. Would that extension need to include the names of the new project manager or managers? Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Okay.
I would want some sort of confirmation from all the partners that they're still on board, they're okay with this extension, they agree to the timeline, the new timeline.
Okay.
I have a quick question on the build, having a bit of experience, but it's been some years ago. Not so much with Cobb, but straw bale construction, a little bit with Cobb. It can be done in one day. I know with straw bale you need to make like 2 or 3 passes with your clay over top. So the bench itself could be done in a day.
I have seen that much material get added in a day. What you might run into is the weight, like the cob when you're setting it is slightly wet, and the
It'll
weight can
slide.
start to compress. But the height of a bench I have seen done in a day, and that's about the limit.
And it's full cob, there's no straw bale underneath to kind of help with the structure? The
Underneath,
form?
we would pour concrete for foundation, and then use limestone rubble
Like
at the base.
I'm sorry, I didn't explain that right, correctly. Like if you're sitting, so if there's like some small, so you can have your straw bale and then so then it's not completely cob, but you have some structure there from say 2 straw bales or 3 straw bales. You have one that's the seat, and then you break your straw bale down into smaller bales, you know, and you flake it off, and then put it in like that, and then put your cob, you know, slip straw or whatever over that, so it doesn't fall down. So that could be a way to ensure it's not going to collapse upon its own weight. Anyway, that's just kind of, I know I'm not doing the project management, but it's something to consider when, you know, if it's getting broken down into 1 or 2 or 3 work days for someone who'd be taking that over.
Gotcha.
If we were going to
Yeah.
continue, would we have to wait until? I'm sorry. You can go ahead and respond to that.
Oh, no, just that's a good idea. I have seen it be not necessary to add structure in that way, but that's because part of the bottom of the bench is
Right.
like stones. So that is kind of taking the rule that you're saying.
Right, yeah.
And just so you know, the bench also has, it has an arbor on top of it as well.
Right.
So.
Have we missed a window to get this built this season? Are we going to be? Is the ground going to get too cold, and then we're going to have to wait until the spring?
Yeah, I think that would be best unless we were doing the build very soon. But yeah, we would need to get more enthusiastic confirmation to think that timeline is realistic.
Okay.
So it would be next year, next spring, probably April at the earliest, if not.
Yeah, I think the cutoff would be mid-November. Freezes and temperature, you know, moisture and all of that. That would delay the drying of the clay.
So, what I recommend maybe, and open to input on this, I can send around the proposal that they had for this project originally, so everyone can take a fresh look at it. And if anyone, reads through it and decides that this is something they really want to take on, they think, they can make it happen, you can let me know, and we can start to work out the paperwork to put that extension together, and then when we come back at our November meeting, we can vote on it, to extend formally. In the meantime, maybe if, I don't hear from anybody wanting to take it up within a week or two, then we just assume that there's nobody to take it up, and we just look into getting the funds returned. Input on that, thoughts on that plan? Just so I don't want to have to rush you guys right at the end of the year, the busy season, if we don't have to. Yeah.
Sounds like we're not too far in, so.
Yeah.
Do you want me to say by the 31st, respond to you by the 31st if somebody wants to?
Yeah, I mean.
It's almost too late, I think.
I mean,
Like 2 weeks.
but why don't we say a week? I
Okay.
don't know, I think a week should be enough time for people to mull it over, and if they're not feeling
A week
strongly
from
about
today.
it.
I just put it in
Yeah.
the minutes.
Yeah.
A week from today.
Does that, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Does that seem fair to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Seem reasonable? Okay. Great. Okay, great. Well, thank you, Evan, for that update. Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay, so that brings us to the next item here, Sustainability Forum recap. So Sheng Wai just had his first installment of the Sustainability Forum. Just wondering if you could just say a few words about how it went and sort of what you have planned coming up.
Yeah, sure. So we had our first forum last Friday. I think we had a very good conversation. I met one of my friends, Damiana, who's a data manager at the Indiana Conservation Voter. So she shared her story, especially some turning points, the way of her thoughts on sustainability. So I think that's a very good way to to educate the public or any people or stakeholder who are interested in sustainability. And we also got some support from Julia and Sean and some other friends who attended the forum last Friday. And I think in the future I'm going to especially because there were not many people to attend, especially from the local community. I think in the future I need maybe I'll go to reach out to the public library and maybe have some our next forum at public library, so that so many local people can attend. Also, I'll reach out to some of the student association IU to attend the forum as well. So, but overall, I think it was a very good conversation, and the people who attended that forum, they raised questions, and the engagement was very good. So I think I will continue to do this, and also I encourage other commissioners can join me. We can also host our next forum together. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. And yeah, once you have that next date, let me know, and I can push out a notice far in advance so that we don't have any quorum issues, even though it's not a formal meeting. Great, any questions about the sustainability forums for Sheng Wai? All right, sounds good. Well, thanks so much, and I'm definitely looking forward to attending the next one. It seems really cool. Okay, that brings.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I just wondered if you could try
Oh, is it
to
doing it again?
stop sharing and then reshare,
Yeah.
just like a start and stop again.
Yeah.
I can't really tell on my end, like, what's wrong.
In
Thank
the
you.
meantime-
Turn it off and turn it on again.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Real quick,
Oh, it's
Evan, when is Evan's last meeting?
Well, yeah, so
Oh,
you said within the next month, so I think that might be, are you leaving Bloomington before November 18th? Evan?
Yeah, I'm currently in Portland, and I decided that I'm just gonna stay here.
No.
So the closing of my lease and stuff like that is handled by my friends can help move out and stuff like this, but I'm not in Bloomington right now.
Could you write us an email? We just need a letter of resignation to forward to the
Sure.
clerk's office. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Is it still bouncing around, or is it looks pretty stable
I
for the
fixed
moment?
it.
I'm just not going to touch it. Unless I okay, that brings us to a report from council. Councilmember Rella.
I really don't have a report this evening, so I'll pass, unless you have any questions.
Okay, easy peasy. Does anyone have any questions? Alrighty. Well, moving on. Okay, so that brings us to 7A, which is the resilience strategy that Jamie's been working on. We sent out a spreadsheet that people could copy and then put comments into and then send back. And so I sent out what I had received so far from that, which I don't have in front of me, but it was only one comment so far. It is a pretty lengthy document, so it does take a little time to kind of think about. So I think ultimately, Jamie, your goal with that is this might be something that we would endorse as a commission at some point once it's in a form that everyone's happy with. So I imagine we'll probably go through multiple rounds of this process. We've got the one comment in the spreadsheet that you can start working on now. But maybe I'll open it up for just a couple minutes for any other commissioners who want to share their thoughts or recommendations with what they've read so far while we're all here. This is something we can also workshop at the working group meetings as well.
Can we use the same link, like it's not a new one for each round of comments, right? Like if we.
Yeah, you can just use the same one. Mm-hmm. Unless, let me think. I suppose if if the comments from the first round get incorporated, then I'd need to send out the new version of the, but I think for now you could probably operate off of, since we only have the one.
In this packet, okay.
Yeah, just. Mm-hmm.
I left a comment that was really just a clarifying question. It might not need anything incorporated, so I can ask that here and maybe we can clear it. It was about, and I'm trying to remember the wording, but basically, growing edible landscaping in places where rain water is collected and things like that, or in public spaces. And I was just curious if there have ever been any sanitation concerns with that, or any issues that we could run into in that realm when having edible landscaping in those kinds of areas.
I'm not sure where in the document.
Okay, let me go find it.
That is.
Yeah, lines 442 and 443. I can pull that up quick.
And please let me know if I've misunderstood what was in there.
Right here.
Street medians and stormwater retention areas.
And parks, yeah.
Okay.
For what it's worth, I took a urban foraging class sponsored by Parks and Rec in Bloomington, and the city staffer who led it took us through, I think it was RCA Park, and we foraged edible things. And one of the questions that came up was around pesticide. And she said that that's a reasonable concern with urban foraging, especially if you're foraging somewhere. And she said the city is very good about signage when they have pretty minimal use of pesticides in general in the city parks, and that they're very good about marking it when they're doing honeysuckle invasives or anything. I mean, this is information fully, as a private citizen, I was in this class, but that's the only, but it is something that the city has sponsored before, that if you find food in the parks, you can eat it.
Yeah.
And I have seen the actual signage outside of the community orchard where they did some spraying, and I was like, whoa. So I did see the signage.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
They also use sometimes they'll use it's got a blue dye to it, so that it's you can actually see what plants have even been treated.
Yeah.
But that it's not recommended to forage in an area where there's been any pesticide.
Yeah.
some of this, I think, it's been a little while since I've written this, that I think I might have been thinking of, cattails. We can use different parts of a cattail plant. So with the shoots, it would not be in the water. That would, that's like at Griffey. You can find them there. But you have to be careful if, say, in highways and interstates, because sand and all, or the salts and things get in it. But in the city, we do have so many more codes, and like Tara said, the signage, that I think it's something that could be incorporated.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that was really my only
I've actually
concern.
taken 2 foraging classes with Parks and Rec. Now that I think about it, one at Griffey and one at RCA.
Yeah.
I want a median only foraging class.
Yeah.
Median
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I was just wanting to add just
Yeah.
sort of, I think this would be a good topic to workshop. Knowing specifically why or why not we don't have that, I think is a good thing to know as for what we're doing. That I think starting off, sort of heading into that, and I thought about it as soon as you mentioned it earlier, was we're 20 years old. At some point in their time, they decided to call us the Commission on Sustainability. I'd want to know, because sustainability and resiliency has been talked about since day one. Like that's intertwined. Like you use resiliency as a term to describe sustainability in the built environment. It'd be great to go back and see if there's anything in there that might give us an indication of why. Because I feel like
I do have kind of an answer to that.
You do.
I do.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that either way, I feel like I could argue in support of this for an hour, or I can argue, against it. Like it's almost like there's a lot there.
For an edible green infrastructure, like on edible.
You're talking about the
trees
resiliency of the. Was this the right thing? I thought this. Never mind. I thought we were talking about resiliency.
Not
Oh,
yet.
is this the resolution that you're
This
looking
is
at?
the-
Oh,
this-
yeah. Hold
that's
that
not
thought.
Hold
I
the thought.
apologize.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think we could, we can work on the document a little bit more at the working group session, where we can kind of have more time to fluidly go through it and just kind of discuss. So I'll put that on the list.
And for those who want to go through it, and it may be good to just go through a section, because if you go through everything, it does get into a lot of detail at some points. When you go through, say, the first section and then the timeline, it allows you to stop and think through. It took me a while to figure out a timeline, like an implementation, and how these things could fit together. So it may take a little processing time to kind of do short little snack bites, sort of, and then make some comments. All right, thanks.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you. All right, that brings us to 7C, the working group grants for the sustainability education outreach. Did you have anything you wanted to say about that this meeting, Tara?
Yeah, well, just so people know what it is. So I wrote a working group grant proposal, which I've sent to Sean and Jolie. They've reviewed it. They came back with some questions that I've answered. I think what is still outstanding is maybe some questions for the city attorneys to figure out if this is for sure something that could be approved. But we talked about this at a working session as an idea, but it is a grant to increase our education and outreach efforts next year in 2026. So we did one event, we did Earth Day, and Quentin and I were both there. We probably we talked between 50 and 100 people. I counted the stickers, but a lot of people came and talked and didn't put a sticker for the priorities voting. But it's to buy some materials, so get us a tablecloth so that it's not just me and a piece of poster board, some table stands for materials, printing for educational materials, and then ordering custom seed packets that would have our logo and a link to our website, the BCOS website, so that people can come to meetings or read our minutes, whatever, maybe a QR code. And those would come, and I've budgeted for ordering 750 of those. They would be native seeds from Roundstone, which is located in Kentucky. I priced it out with a few different companies. The prices are pretty comparable across, but Roundstone is in Kentucky, just south of the border, just very northern Kentucky. So their ecotype is very similar to ours, so those are the ones that are most likely to have successful germination and survive. But just as a way of instead of handing out a flyer, handing out native pollinator seeds to people as a way of communicating. The proposal is that we would decide as a commission in a working session, in our priorities working session early in the year, what events we want to target, with a goal of being at least 3 events and trying to interact with at least 250 members of the public over the course of the year. So one of the things in there is a clicker counter, so we can keep track of how many people we talk to and how many seed packets we give out, and a plastic storage bin to store everything, so that whoever is the person who's there can carry it easily and it can be shared. One thing that I learned through this is I was well, what if we buy all this stuff secondhand? But we can't do that because of I've got to have receipts that say an invoice that says what it is. So that's why it's new materials, even though that's not the most sustainable option. I did think about that, but because we have to deal with the city government and laws and accounting, we're not going to do that. That's about it. Yeah. So and the details of how we would select those events are in there, but just prioritizing events where it's free for us to be there, things that are aligned with our priorities, or places where commissioners would already be, if the if the other grant, the Bokashi grant project 2.0, being at that event because there's already things like that. The end. And it's $2,100. Yeah, is the budget.
So as I think we talked about before, I was hoping this year for the Earth Day event that we could do a fix-it clinic, or mending, clothes, personal items people bring in, watches or whatever, not actually necessarily do ourselves, provide some materials for people, buttons, so someone gets whatnot. I think it'd be a great way to it kind of hits on reducing waste, socioeconomic, it hits on all the things. I think people would get a kick out of it too. I acquired a traveling fix-it clinic. I'm thinking if there was a way for me to get that there and I participated, if there was a way to kind of piggyback on a messaging around or we could get space, I'd love to do something like that.
I think that expanding on what we have at our table and what we offer is always, I don't think, as long as there's no additional cost beyond the cost of the grant, I think we can do whatever we want. I put in some money for printing costs too. But yeah, we could add things like that, when we decide on the priorities, I think, as long as it's not an additional cost for the grant. This is just so that we have something. Because literally when I did Earth Day, I was I had a poster board and a bunch of stickers. And 2 NFC tags. It was real,
no, you did,
it was
you
rough.
Did good with
so.
what you had.
You did great.
I agree. All we might need to do that's a little bit more space.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. But we can talk about
Well, for
that.
Earth Day, we just have to ask Julie to put our tables next to each other.
That's what I was thinking. So, and yeah, awesome. Perfect.
Yeah, if we could just know how much room something would take up. Since last year it rained out, the pavilion was completely full.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make sure it's not so loud and crowded and everything. And want to make sure we have room. So somebody else who was there last year might drop out of it, and maybe we'll have plenty of room.
And we promise next year the music, it's either going to be outside or no music at all. I promise.
I've done the same thing, and it was too loud on the inside.
Yeah, it was really, it was
It
like,
was-
it was echoing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
it was
Oh, yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
Well,
You're
maybe
adjusting.
My kids
Yeah,
laugh.
I should music, I need a harp or something, a harpsichord or.
It doesn't even
Yeah,
matter.
bagpipes.
It's just the,
Hammered dulcimer.
it's the shape of the building and like, cause it's like a metal
And it's
ceiling,
so
it's just like,
metal, yeah.
it just echoes back on you no matter
Even
what.
If you need it,
All
my
right.
wife is in a bagpipe
Even if
band.
it's a tent, a
perfect.
tent will echo
Yeah.
that much. It's
Yeah.
wild.
All right, yeah, these are all good brainstorms.
So
We should
the-
keep that
just-
going. Yeah.
So I think the plan is to bring it for vote to the commission at the next meeting. I've sent the, updated materials with all the feedback from Sean and Jolie already to them for review, so.
Great.
If there's additional stuff that comes back from legal, I'll incorporate that in and then
Okay.
have it at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll get you some clarification on that by the end of the week,
Okay.
just to make sure, but great idea.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. That's good. Okay, great. So
That's the goal.
Okay, so that brings us to item 9A, which is a first reading of Resolution 2025-04 to recommend adding resilience to the commission's name. I'll pull it up here so it's on the screen. And Jamie sent around a memo with it, but this is the text of the resolution. So just as a reminder, this is a first reading. We're not really debating the merits of the resolution here. It's really just a vote to advance it to the second reading, which is where we'll actually discuss it, you know, what we think, debate, offer up amendments and that sort of thing. With that said, is there anyone who'd like to offer a motion to advance this to the second reading?
I'll make the motion.
I didn't know if we were going to, because Quentin had a.
No, I was gonna vote to continue, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
great.
Perfect. All right. Well, I heard a motion from Councilmember Barallo and a second from you, Matt. Perfect. All right. Is there any discussion?
So going off of what you said earlier, it could be argued either way. But since sending this out and seeing our political climate and being aware of what is being said and how that's affecting many of us, if not all of us, some of us in stronger ways than other, that adding the word resilience when, you know, it's becoming so politicized. If I'm seeing Joel Salatin talking about more about resilience, and that's leaning one way compared to sustainability, which is leaning another, in what we're experiencing now, to add resilience, even though it's a part of sustainability, I think will be help us to remain relevant in this this group, this commission, remain relevant in no matter in how things may change in the future, and we're in quite volatile times, and I just think this is a good move. I know Dave he's a founder, so I wanted him as part of this as well.
Perfect. Well, yeah, we'll have it on the.
Dave
yeah.
has his-
Dave
Oh,
does have
sorry.
his hand
Yeah,
up.
Thank you. Yeah, Councilmember Barallo, go ahead.
Well, I don't know if it's appropriate since we're not really debating this now, but just to say that I like the idea. I think that resilience is implicit in sustainability, but it provides a clarification anticipating numerous shocks coming that Jamie made explicit in the materials.
Yeah, question, Matt.
Just one comment on the name. Right now we're BCAS, that will be BSRC, so I'd say Bloomington Commission on Sustainability and Resilience, or otherwise it's
Or-
BSRC. So just a thought.
Oh, B cores or
I like B cores.
B cores is B,
Sustainability? Okay.
All right.
Just for everybody to put it out there, think about the name.
Yeah.
Really important stuff.
Yep, well, we can bring forward amendments at the next one.
Or it could be BCASer.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, we should move on with the vote here. So
So
this is to advance it to the second reading. So you don't have to be for it. If you're against it, you could still vote yes, just to bring it to the next meeting. Okay. Tara.
Yes.
Yes. Justin. Yes. Matt.
Yes.
Yes. Councilmember Rallo.
Yes.
Yes. Quentin.
Yes.
Yes. Alex.
Yes.
Yes. Jamie.
Yes.
Yes. Annalise.
Yes.
Yes. Diana.
Yes.
Yes. Shanghai.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. It advances to the next reading, so we'll see that at the next meeting. All right, then that brings us to the report from staff liaison. Hand it over to you, Sean.
I don't really have anything to talk about. Maybe the spooktacular, the remaining activities with the sustainability spooktacular.
Yeah, the sustainability spectacular events. It's just been partnering with the community organizations, and the remaining event after this is a tree planted with canopy Bloomington, the near west side one. Actually, that's full.
That's true.
They've filled up
Already
with
have
volunteers, so
right.
that's really encouraging. But there will be a block party in Butler Park on October 25th. Following that, to kind of celebrate the progress on the near west side.
What park did you say?
Butler Park.
Butler Park.
Butler
It's
Park.
called Sustainability Boot.
Sustainability Spooktacular.
This is
But-
amazing. I'll be there.
Okay, awesome. Few food trucks and busman's holiday will be there.
But
and then
outdoors, they'll be playing.
Outdoors.
Outdoors,
thank you,
right.
yes. I guess one big piece of good news is our Bloomington Green Home Improvement Program. The rebates was full, it's complete, so we expended the whole budget. That means numerous Bloomington homeowners have chosen a heat pump or gone solar or installed batteries. We had 33 rebates this year, and many of them were quite big because it was the solar and the batteries going in. Lots of people pairing them. So, yeah, successful.
Very successful.
Mm-hmm.
Have you received any sustainable neighborhood grant applications?
No, we
We
actually
haven't.
haven't. We've had a lot of questions, clarifying questions about how to approach it, which have been great, but no applications yet.
But
Hopefully soon.
That's a lot more questions you've had previously. Interest.
Yeah, I think
Fantastic.
generally more interested.
Hopefully we'll be
Um,
getting applications soon.
Yeah, and all our neighborhood,
Mhm.
I say this as myself and not a commissioner, has offered that we'll share like our grant application materials and everything, because Megan did such a good job on like navigating all of that, that we'll share like our proposal and plan with any other neighborhoods that want to replicate what we did.
That's great.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. We have just under a minute left for member announcements. Is there anything anyone wants to announce, promote?
November 4th is another workshop at the Community Orchard on Bokashi. So
I
if
signed
you'd
up.
like to learn, awesome, if you'd like to learn how to ferment food waste,
On November 4th. what
November
time?
4th, I think it's 1 to 2:30. It's on the Community Orchard's Facebook page as well.
You
I
do
sent it
that
to one
and
of
then
my
come to the working
neighbors.
session.
She's been having raccoons in her compost pile, so she's.
She can put stuff in there that they want, so
Yeah.
yeah, this will take care of that issue.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I'll just remind everyone the work session on November 4th at the library. I'll send out a notice for that. And then remember, our next regular meeting is November 18th, which is sort of off cycle. Great. And that brings us to 7:30. So we stand adjourned.